Good evening. Notice is hereby given that due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and recent executive orders issued by the governor, the Town of Islip Zoning Board of Appeals hearing scheduled for Tuesday, June 8th, 2021 at 6 p.m. will be held electronically via Zoom webinar instead of an in-person public hearing, and will be streamed live over the internet. Dated 6/1/2021, John M. Lorenzo, that's me, Chairman. First application number 326-21, Sandra Reyes, permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code, Section 68-602, Residence A District, south side of Stacom Street, 118.5 feet west of Radcliffe Drive, Brentwood, New York. Is anyone here for the application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Good evening, Roxanne. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So you're here seeking permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code. It appears on the notes that I have here that it's the apartment's 550 square feet, driveway complies. Mary, everything else is good?
Yep, everything's in order.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good, you're on a few more, Roxanne. Application 327-21, Marvin A. Diaz and Sandra E. Alvarado. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code, Section 68-602, and to leave shed having side yard of 0.3 feet instead of required 2 feet. Residence AA District, west side of Lincoln Avenue, 285.88 feet north of Sunrise Highway, Bohemia. Is there anyone here for the app?
Good evening again. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. And we are here to establish an accessory apartment. It is owner occupied. The driveway has been approved by engineering. The apartment is 143 square feet. And as far as the shed, it's a fairly small shed. It's about 70 square feet and it's 0.3 feet from the side yard instead of the 2 feet required.
That seems de minimis. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Application number 328-21, Douglas and Christine Phelps, permission to leave detached garage, 19 feet by 26 feet, having side yard of 3.2 feet instead of required 4 feet, and a driveway having a side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, northwest corner of Myrtle Avenue and 3rd Street, West Islip, New York. Is anyone here for the applicant?
Good evening again. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. And we are here for a detached garage, maintaining a side yard of 3.2 instead of 4, and just a small portion of the driveway that's 1 foot from the side yard instead of the 4 feet.
Seems like they went off the fence, not the property line on that rear property line. And the driveway seems de minimis. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Application 329-21, Danielle and Deanna Ocampo. Permission to erect second-story addition, leaving height of 31 feet instead of permitted 28 feet, and rear yard of 24 feet instead of required 25 feet, and roofed over porch, leaving side yard of 13.6 feet instead of required 14 feet, and one-story addition, all having floor area ratio of 29.79% instead of permitted 25%. To install pool patio, leaving side yard and rear yards of 4 feet instead of required 6 feet. To leave shed on rear property line and having side yard of 2.9 feet instead of the required 4 feet each. And driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. Residence B District, west side of Cullen Avenue, 41.1 feet south of Frank Circle, Islip. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, Tom Trufaro, DTT Designs, 1165 Broadway Avenue, Holbrook, New York.
How are you tonight, sir?
Very good, thank you.
Page case?
We're building an addition on top of the home, of course, second floor. You see a little bit to the right. We're adding an extension to the front of an existing garage and converting that into living space. Shed is pre-existing. The shed was there already, and we're proposing a pool. The pavement in the back, I mean, if you notice, it's 4 foot. It's like a pie-shaped lot, so it's only 4 foot in a certain amount of period. It's a lot larger than that.
Yep.
Like 2 corners, that's 4 foot, so it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yep. So we have the height of 31 instead of 28. Deirdre from planning, any objection?
No objections. The only thing is the height. There was no precedent for that, so.
Yeah, the only reason for the height, just to explain, is because they don't have a basement. So there's a storage issue. They have 2 girls, they have a family, growing, and it's just there's just not enough room. The shed's okay, but obviously, everybody knows it's just not big enough.
So Deirdre from planning, is there's no objection from planning for the height then of 31?
Not necessarily. There's the height, it's extra 3 feet. I'm not too sure if that would affect the neighbors. I'm not sure if it wouldn't affect the neighbors. If it was 1 foot, if it was less than a foot, I'd have no problem with it, but it's an extra 3 feet.
Well, I'm assuming what you're telling me that there's no precedent in the area. I'm assuming it's a conforming neighborhood, no?
For the height, yeah. There's precedent for the other things, and most of it seems in line. Everything else is fine. It's just the height. There's no precedent, and it's 3
Yeah,
feet.
if you look at the neighborhood too, it's 41.1 feet to the right. So there's really no neighbor to the right side of the house. So I don't think, and it's heavily landscaped. So I don't really think it's an obstruction for any.
Mr. Tafako, I appreciate that argument, but if someone else comes in and it doesn't have that scenario, the code says 28, and if we give you 31, we're gonna have to give everyone 31.
But if you look too in the front of the house, it is probably close to 28 to 29. The main gable that goes front to back, that's the one that's 31 feet. So, I mean, obviously we don't see that with our eye. It is 31 feet, but it's not really that big as far as the way the gable is from the front of the crown of the road.
Is there some reason you can't do everything you want to do without lowering that height a little bit?
I mean, maybe a foot, but I don't want to go any lower than that because I want to actually walk up there, because if we have storage and we're going to be storing things, you're going to be hitting your head on a rafter or a ceiling joist,
We realize what you don't want to do, but there's no precedent for that kind of height. So we'd like to give you the rest of the application, but you may have to work with us on that height.
I'm here to listen to suggestions, but I mean,
The suggestions is 28 feet, what the code says. That's what the suggestion.
I know that's what the code says, but is there any, she just said before that we could, maybe a foot or 2 get away with. So I'm going to say, yeah, all right, we'll get away with 2 feet then. Make it 30 feet.
But I appreciate it, Mr. Parker. This is not let's make a deal, though. The code, we have to hold code, as you know, as much as we can, and especially in an area that's conforming. So if you take the 28, everything else seems pretty. We have nothing to hang our hat on to go to 30.
No, I know, I understand that, but that's why we're going for a variance. And if you look at where the house is located, like I said, there are new houses that go up and they're a lot higher than that, and they get approved.
But we have no precedent that we just spoke to planning, and they said there's no precedent for height of 31 feet.
So you're
So
saying
I
there's
think-
no house in the area, that exceeds that?
Deirdre,
Like I said, can you do everything else in the application still with lowering the height? Can you still do everything else that's in there?
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine, yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
we really wanted to get the height, honestly. That was one of the big things in the application, because we would appreciate the storage there. Like I said, it's a really tight lot. It's pie shaped. We lose a little bit of room there. And like I said, the gable's running front to back. I know the height's the height, but if it was a big gable in front of the house, there's a house across the street that's a little bit, pretty high also, but
but you're saying that by eye, you're not coming to us with any concrete evidence that you have a height over 28 feet and within the surrounding area of 500 square feet.
Right, could we approve everything else and leave that one open until I measure the height across the street and then
No,
possibly?
we could, if you like, we could adjourn and get you an adjournment date and you can do some research and come back to us,
Right.
or you can take the 28 feet.
Yeah, we'll take the 28 then. I want to get it approved and move on, so.
All right, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to deny that portion of the application related to the height of 31 feet instead of permitted 28 feet and to grant the balance of the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Have a
Thank you,
great-
guys. Thank you,
Great
everyone.
night. Take
Have a
care.
great night. All right.
Application number 330-21, Corinne and Orlando Diaz Jr. Permission to leave one-story addition, 12.4 by 19.7, having side yard of 23.5 instead of 25 feet, and total side yards of 53.6 instead of required 60 feet. Excuse me. Residence AAA District, east side of Lakeview Avenue, 2,287.6 feet north of Montauk Highway, Bayport. Is there anyone here for the applicant? Do we have anyone there?
He's here.
Yeah,
He
he's there.
just put himself onto mute.
So Mr. Diaz, you just,
There you go.
Hi,
Mr. Diaz, how are you?
good, how are you?
Good. Name and address for the record, please.
Orlando Diaz, 543 Lakeview Avenue, Bayport.
How are you? Good. You're here seeking permission to leave a one-story addition, a little bit too close in the side yard, seems de minimis.
I bought the house this way.
Yep,
They didn't
understood.
have a CM.
Understood. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application good. Have a good night, sir.
Thank you, you too.
Application 331-21. Marseille Jean, am I saying it right, I hope? Permission to leave above-ground pool having rear yard of 7.7 feet and side yard of 9.9 feet and it's required 10 feet each. Arterial highway setback of 58 feet instead of required 60 feet, and to renew permit for accessory apartment pursuant to ISO Town Code 68-616, Residence B District, southeast corner of Brentwood Parkway and Express Drive South, Brentwood, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
we have the applicant. Maurice, if you could unmute yourself, the little red microphone down in the corner of your screen. The renewal of her permit is routine. It just so happens that, oh, there she is. Now you just have to unmute yourself, the little red microphone looking thing. Oh, she's talking away. Maurice, we can't hear you.
Oh.
Oh, there we go.
She's back to muted again.
Oh,
There you are. How are you?
I'm good, and you? How you been?
We're doing great. Name and
I
address for the
know,
record.
I know. We know me already. I know how you been. Nobody's sick. Thanks God. Oh,
Thank God is right. Just name and
Yeah.
address for the record, please.
my address the week. The application number.
No, the
No.
name, your address, just name and
Oh,
address for the record.
My name is Marisa Jean. My address is 385 Brentwood Parkway, Brentwood, New York 11717.
Great, thank
yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
You're here, and in-ground pool's a little bit too close on the side and rear. It seems de minimis. I'm Deirdre from planning. Any objection?
Yeah. Yes.
No objections.
All right.
No
And your
objection. Yes. Oh, okay.
aerial setback, 58 feet, that seems de minimis too. And everything's in order for the renewal of the accessory apartment, Mary?
Yes, it just happened to coincide with her variance
Oh,
application.
my Mary, how are you, Mary?
I'm good. How are you, Maurice?
Oh, my Mary, I was asking for you at the town.
I know. I wasn't around when you were here, I guess.
I know how you been. Good, good,
Very good.
good.
Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Very
great.
good.
Does any,
Nice to
does,
see you.
Mm.
anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application and to grant and the accessory apartment for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night, Machine.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a great
See you in
night.
3 years.
Merci. Oh, okay, Miss Marie. God bless you guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When they take the measurement, they make a mistake. You know? Yeah,
all good.
they make a mistake. The guy make mistake. I give it to them everything.
Yeah.
From the town, you know, the paperwork, everything. They
Sure.
make a mistake.
Sure.
Thank you, God.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
thank you. Same to you, same
Bye.
to you,
Bye-bye.
my
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Application number 332-21, Anthony V. and Vincent J. Fanwick, co-trustees of the Fanwick 2019 Irrevocable Family Trust. Permission to leave roofed over porch, 11 foot by 15.9 feet, having front yard of 18.5 feet instead of required 25 feet. A patio having side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, east side of San Rafael Avenue, 135 feet north of Live Oak Drive, Holbrook, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
Yes.
Dennis Cook, 8801 Shore Road, apartment 6JS, Brooklyn, New York, 11209. I'm speaking in behalf of Anthony V. J. Fenrick Family Trust. They found out that they were going to need the variances for these two things when they would propose to put a pool in. They weren't aware that they had the overhang in the front that exceeded the front yard setback, or the pavers on the side that exceeded the side yard setback for pavers. And it was the front yard portico has been there since they bought the house, and they would like it for protection from the rain and elements, especially in the winter time. And also the pavers on the side, as I said, they weren't, it just came up when they installed the pool, well, plan to install a pool.
The pavers are de minimis, sir, so this is a small portion of the patio in the backyard. Deirdre from planning, the portico, any precedent, objection, Holbrook?
No precedent. The only thing that it's not great. It's like 7.5 feet, I believe. 6.5 feet from what they should be, but I'd be okay if it was never to be enclosed.
Sir, never to be enclosed, your clients are willing to agree never to enclose that?
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, they would never enclose it.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? The board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
The chairman, I move to grant the application with the proviso that the patio never be enclosed. I'm sorry, the roof of a porch never be enclosed.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application granted. Have a great night, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Application 333-21, Robbie Ramos and Tyne Moeller, permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to ISO Town Code Section 68-602, to leave shed having side yard of 0.5 feet instead of required 2 feet, and second front yard of 1.7 feet instead of required 20 feet, and driveway having side yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 4 feet, Residence B District, southwest corner of Keith Lane and Everdale Avenue, West Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
The applicant is here. We just have to get him to unmute himself. And before we get moving too much into it, we need a just very minor amendment that seems to be just a typo regarding the second shed.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Hello. I'm just correcting something in the call of the meeting before we get started, if the board will accept the amendment. So that there are 2 sheds on the property, and the call of the meeting seems to be missing 2 words. It says second, and it should say shed having front yard of 1.7 instead of 20. So there's 1 shed on the side property line, and then there's another on the second front property line.
Make a motion to amend the call of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Rob Ramos. I'm the homeowner at 710 Keith Lane, West Islip, New York, 11795. I'm just requesting the variance we bought. This is all existing stuff that we bought the property with back in November. We were unaware of the issues with the shed and the driveway. We're actually putting in for an accessory apartment permit. We need the size of the driveway to get that permit as well. And we're depending on that income for the mortgage payment as well.
Sure. Understood. The driveway seems de minimis. It's 2.5 instead of 4. The one shed, 0.5 instead of 2 is de minimis. The second front yard shed, 1.7 instead of 20. I don't know if we've ever granted a shed in the second front yard with that relief. Deirdre from planning, any precedent for that?
No precedent.
So that second shed along Everdale Avenue, sir, unfortunately, you're in a second front yard there. That shed can be moved?
Yeah, I can take the shed down. That's fine.
You don't, you just got to move it to a compliant location. You just got to move it 20 feet in
Okay,
where it is now. You don't have to take it down. You just got to move it.
okay, that's fine.
Not forward along the second front yard of Everdale Avenue, south.
Closer to the back, the property line with the other house behind me.
Yeah, closer to the other vinyl shed, yes.
Okay.
You have to be 20 feet off of the property line where Everdale Avenue is for that shed and off of the rear yard.
Okay.
All right.
Understandable.
Does anyone, and everything, apartments 458.5 square feet, everything else complies, man?
Yes, it does.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application, but for the shed, which we'll deny.
Go ahead. The shed, there's 2 sheds, so just make sure.
I'm
Yep.
sorry, we're denying,
The shed, the second front yard.
we're denying the shed in the second front yard and granting the application, the rest of the application.
Second.
With the apartment though.
For being 3 years.
Apartment
3 years for the apartment, correct. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong application.
Not a problem. You got a second, Chris?
Second.
All in favor? All right, so just move that shed, Mr. Ramos, and you'll be good with everything else.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
3 years. Have a great night.
You too. You too.
Application number 334-21, Scott and Gabrielle Severs. Permission to erect second-story addition, leaving front yard at 36.9 feet instead of required 4 feet, and portico leaving front yard at 31.9 feet instead of permitted encroachment setback of 34 feet. Residence AA District, northeast corner of Plymouth Road and Kings Road, Hauppauge, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
Just moving the representative in right now.
Hello, good evening. My name is Carlos Munoz from Todd O'Connell Architects. 12
Sorry, could you spell your last name for me, please?
MUNOZ
Thank
from
you.
Todd O'Connell Architects, 1200 Veterans Memorial Highway, Hauppauge, New York, 11788. I'm representing the Severs in this application. They have an existing dwelling that is non-conforming to the setbacks, where 40 feet is required and only 36.9 feet is what they have. We're building a second floor over the existing garage, which happens to be at 36.9 feet, encroaching into the required front yard setback. And then we're also building the proposed porch. That is obviously because of the nonconformity of the existing dwelling, causing it to also encroach into the required front yard setback.
Well, the dwelling's not that far off of the front yard setback, but the portico, Deirdre from planning, any precedent in the area for the portico?
No precedent.
Any objection?
Probably just never to enclose, but no objections otherwise.
Ms. Munoz, your client will be okay with never to enclose that portico?
Yeah, that should be fine.
All right, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application with the condition that the portico never be enclosed.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted, never to be enclosed. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. You too.
Application 335-21, Joseph and Devon Cornell, permission to erect second-story addition, 21.7 feet by 26.3 feet, and to alter second-story roof line, leaving side yard of 19.43 feet instead of required 25 feet, total side yards of 55.76 feet instead of required 60 feet, and to erect roof deck 14.6 by 16.4, leaving total side yards of 50.26 feet instead of 60 feet. Residence AAA District, west side of South Pennaquid Avenue, 100 feet south of First Street, Bay Shore, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
Joseph Cornell, 68 South Pennaquid Avenue, Bay Shore, New York, 11706. And I'm looking to erect a second-story unconditioned space over the existing footprint. And we are going to be changing the roof line from a current hip roof to an open gable. And where we would like to have the roof deck, there is currently a hip roof there as well that we would just like to flatten out.
There's currently a hip roof there right now. You're flattening out for the second, the roof deck you're talking about?
Correct.
All right.
Is anything expanding over the footprint of the present?
No,
structure?
the footprint remains the same.
Deidre from planning, any objection to this application from planning?
No objections. There's precedent for a few things, but everything's still within the footprint, so.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicoli, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a good night, sir.
You too.
Application 336-21, Jasmine Williams Perkins. Permission to leave roofed over entrance platform having front yard of 16.3 feet instead of required 25 feet. An elevated entrance platform 5 foot by 15 foot, 56-inch high with stairs having side yard of 6 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, south side of Rosewood Street, 100 feet west side of Lowell Avenue, Central Islip, New York. Is anyone here for the application?
She's here. There we go. Okay, Jasmine, we see you. Now you just need to unmute yourself. Oops.
It keep going back and forth. Should I just say, okay?
You're doing good.
Oh, thanks.
Good evening.
Hello?
Name and address for the record.
Jasmine Williams Perkins, 4 Rosewood Street in Central Islip, New York, 11722.
How are you tonight?
Oh, a little nervous. I don't know.
Don't be nervous. We don't bite. I promise. We're good. So you're here seeking permission to leave a roofed over entrance platform, a little bit too close to the front yard.
No, it was the same. It was there before. The platform was there. I just added the roof over it.
Yeah, exactly. The platform. So you're saying the platform was there and you just roofed it over?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Deirdre, do you have photos of this by any chance?
Now?
No, I'm asking the planning department if we send
Oh.
photos.
Oh, okay.
No? There we go. Thank you.
Deirdre, any objection from planning?
Not necessarily.
What does that mean?
It's much closer, like the previous one where I said never to enclose, that was at least 18 point something. This is 16 point something instead of 25. But again, I would really just mostly ask for never to enclose as well.
I would never do that. No.
All right, and then we have an elevated entrance platform with stairs having a side of 6 instead of 14. What is that on the side? Elevated entrance platform. What's that for?
elevated entrance. Where are you talking about? The
It's on
side?
the side of your house by parallel to Lowell Avenue.
Oh, it's a deck.
So I think that there's an entrance there that's always been there, the side entrance to the house.
Yeah, there
We've
was a
actually
deck.
had a couple on this street. I think at one time there might have been a stoop that was replaced with this narrow deck and
Yes.
stairs leading up to it.
Do we have any precedent, Deirdre, for that almost 50% relaxation on that side?
No precedent.
If you could go back to the photo again. I guess we didn't send you two photos.
I thought when I downloaded the pictures where you mentioned it was downloading all of them. Apparently only downloaded one, so that's my fault.
Okay, so these houses on the street are very, they look alike and they have this side entrance. If you could just see where that redwood hand railing is on the side.
Sure.
So it's really, as you can see, it's a split level house. The lower level is mostly in the ground or maybe half in the ground.
Yes.
So it's elevated, but it's not a second story deck by any means.
What is next to, I guess, to the west of the property where that deck is? What's next over that fence?
There's a house over there. That's what you mean?
I believe it's up against the back of this house on the corner. So I think it's on this side.
I don't have an extreme issue with this, but what's my board say?
I don't have an issue with it either.
I'm good.
Just never,
You good? All
Not
right.
to be
Anyone
enclosed.
wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application with the condition that the roofed over entrance platform I'm sorry. Yeah, with the roofed over entrance platform having a front yard of 16.3 instead of required 25 and never be enclosed.
second.
And to grant the balance of the application.
Thank you.
I bungled that one. I apologize.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Application 337-21, Floor and Decor, Sable Property Company LLC and Sable Menlo LLC. Permission to install facial sign having height of 26.58 feet instead of permitted 18 feet. To install public interest sign having sign area of 25.65 feet instead of permitted 3 square feet, and height of 19.5 feet instead of permitted 10 feet. There's a free district, north side of Sunrise Highway, 500 feet west of Johnson Avenue, Bohemia, New York. Is there anyone here for this application?
Yes, hi, good evening. Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 2938 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown, agent for the applicant.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Stage case.
Good. We're requesting permission to install a 452.35 square foot facial sign or wall sign with an overall height of 26 feet 7 inches instead of the maximum allowed 18 feet. And also requesting permission to install a 25.65 foot public interest sign with an overall height of 19 foot 6 inches instead of the maximum allowed 3 square feet and a height of 10 feet.
Is this
So
the
the
old
propo-
Kmart?
Go ahead.
This is the old Kmart?
Yes. Right, so Kmart, Sports Authority, Borders Books, they're all out of business. Essentially, this shopping center is empty. So
Right.
this is
You're
great.
it's the Kmart spot, but you're only taking like a third of it, it looks like.
I think it was, yes, divided the space.
Is it only that red area?
Yes, correct.
Okay, do you know what's going in the other 2/3?
I don't, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
not sure
I
about
think
that.
it was always subdivided. I think the only part that it appears that they're not taking is the plant and garden center to the west of that. But that seems like the whole Kmart building, and then to the east of it is where Sports Authority and Office Max and
Right, I'm just curious, I see only the red markings on the aerial. That's the only area that you're taking, but you don't know what's gonna be in the other area, and you're not taking over the blue area.
Right, so we were contracted by the sign company, not by the leasing company. I really don't know that information. I could get
Okay.
that for you, but
I was
I don't
just-
have that.
It's more curiosity than anything, but I understand.
Okay.
Deidre from planning, any objection?
No objections. There's actually a precedent for the height. You guys previously granted a 27-foot height for the sign. The only thing I just want to remind the sign company is that the sign on the back that's labeled sign E, just because it is close to residences, I just wanted to remind them to be careful with the illumination. I think it was mentioned previously, but I just wanted to bring it up again.
Great, thanks, Deidre. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? It's the board, but Mary, anyone want to be heard?
No, nobody is registered to speak on it.
All right, does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. You guys do the same.
Take care. Application 338-21, Anthony and Jeanette Vera. Permission to reconstruct dwelling with porch on lot having lot width of 50 feet instead of required 75 feet, leaving front yard of 7.7 feet instead of required 40 feet, and side yard of 11.8 feet instead of required 14 feet. And to erect second-story addition 19.7 feet by 38 feet, leaving front yard of 12.7 feet instead of required 40 feet, side yard of 8.8 feet instead of required 14 feet, and total side yards of 26.4 feet instead of required 28 feet. Residence A District, north side of Lincoln Avenue, 350 feet west of Park Place, Islip Terrace, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I see him. He just needs to be unmuted.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
Good. How you doing? I'm having trouble with the camera here. I don't know if you could see me.
Cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. It's Anthony Vera, the applicant. Address is 41 Lincoln Avenue, Islip Terrace, New York, and the zip code is 11752.
Great. How are you tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So you're reconstructing a dwelling?
Yes, we're looking to put a second story addition on it because the space that's there now, I mean, it was listed as a 3-bedroom house with 1 bedroom downstairs and 2 up, but the bedrooms upstairs are basically in an attic space. The ceiling height is really, the highest point is 6 feet. And the staircase looks like it was put into a closet and it's as steep as a ladder. So, I mean, we want to just put a second story on it just to make it, a normal home.
All right, it's CO'd on this 50-foot lot. Are you going?
It's hard to read these new COs, right, John? The
I
CO was
know.
issued March 8th of 2021. It says the house was built approximately 1927.
Yep. And you're not encroaching closer to what the house is CO'd at now, the front yard, just going straight up above it?
Yeah, we're just going straight above.
Deidre, any objection from planning?
No objections. They're in the same footprint, and there's a lot of non-conforming lots and close to the side yards, close to front yards. So no objections.
Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Board have any further questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
In light of the fact that there's no further encroachment and it would probably fit within the character and nature of the community, I make a motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted, sir. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Application 339-21, Robert Flagger and Joanne Saratkin. Permission to erect 2-story dwelling, leaving floor area ratio of 35.15% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, east side of Robbins Walk, 420 feet south of Central Walk, Lonelyville, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
Yes, good evening. Charles J. Broody, architect, 30 Bethesda Lane, Sayville, New York, representing the property owner.
Mr. Broody, how are you, sir?
I am good. Hope everybody is well.
You're doing well, thanks. State your case.
Sure. As stated in the call, property owner seeks permission to construct a 2-story residence, requesting a FAR percentage of 35.15% instead of the required 30% on a BAA zone on Fire Island. All setbacks including the height, will conform to the zoning requirement. And for the board's information, with the help of Deirdre, there are 4 precedents in the area, all of which are higher than what we are requesting. One at 36, one at 36.2, one at 39, and the last one at 39.4% FAR.
And that's within the 500 radius that we normally try and keep in our board?
Yes, I believe that is true, correct, Deirdre?
Yes, that's correct. There's, like Charlie Breathy said, there's a bunch of precedent in the area. So
The important year for those would be after 2011.
the ones that were before 2011, I went onto the calculation sheet and I started taking out the ones that included the shed and kind of that stuff. So I tried to get as close as possible, and I took out a few things just in case they were counted and they shouldn't have been counted. So some were technically granted like 40%, but with the things that we don't count now, they're now down to like 36 or 39.
Okay. Great. Does anyone, so I'm assuming planning has no objection.
No objections.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
Yes, there are several people who would like to be heard. If you glance at the attendee panel, you'll see it's mostly on this case. So here we go. I'm promoting Lee Rollins. Looks like, and Susan Rollins as well.
You could unmute my mom first. She should go first. Thank you.
Oh, you're okay. Oh, I see. Lee is a
I'm the
female
daughter.
Lee.
She's the
Okay.
mom. Do we see her?
I don't see her in the attendee panel. Oh, wait, yes, here she is. There's a lot of people in here, so. Okay.
Sorry.
And everybody else who has their hand up, I will move you in. I'll become a pro at this reluctantly.
One at a time, please.
You don't have to put your hands up. I know you're all here on this application.
And I
okay?
just want to state we're here to hear, this is why it is a public session and you can state your case. However, if we're going to keep repeating the same stuff, let's just make it brief. Many times in situations like this, everyone's upset about something. They come in and they speak the same words over and over and over again. So we're here to hear, we want to hear you. We just want to keep it moving if we can, if you don't mind. So first person, whoever it may be, name and address for the applicant. Name and address, please, for the record.
Unmute.
Susan, you have to unmute yourself.
There you are.
There I am. Okay. Susan Morgan, Rollins, 59 Robbins Walk, Lonelyville.
How are you tonight?
I'm sorry?
How are you tonight?
Oh, fair. It's
right.
raining. Yeah.
That's good.
Right. Anyway, I have been a summer resident on Fire Island since 1957. I met my husband in Fair Harbor in the summer of 1958. At that time, he had already purchased a small Cape Cod cottage from Eddie Robbins, who owned a tract of land he was developing in East Lonelyville. The property Robbins developed from ocean to bay is and was the size of one east-west walk in New York. That means it's very narrow. It's like a block wide. Our street became Robbins Walk, and within a number of years, other small beach houses were built so that now there are upwards of 40. There is no grocery store, no restaurant, no cross bay ferry landing. My family and I, 3 generations, have grown up in Lonelyville and are active members in the community. Working in Fair Harbor, teaching sailing in Dunewood, and I am one of 2 members from the property owners of Lonelyville on the Fire Island Association Board. Lonelyville, as it is and has always been, is a small, friendly community with small houses. The property owner asking for permission for variance is right on the next plot to my house, which is under 900 square feet, my house. Unlike most other houses, this one will be 2,100 square feet. And it's right to the, and the lots right to the east, west, and south are also very, very small. All of this means that the new house will not only be up higher, but now wants to have a bigger footprint. For that reason, I do not want to grant permission for 33921's request for variance.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
I do.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Lee Rollins at 59 Robbins Walk in Lonelyville. And as my mother stated, the character of all the structures in Lonelyville and Robbins Walk is small, single-story seasonal beach bungalows with elevations on average of no more than 3 feet above grade. We are very concerned about the proposed structures out of character for Lonelyville, especially Robbins Walk. As per the Town of Islip Use District Regulations, Residence BAA District, the intent of these regulations is stated on the first page in 68-135, Section B, and is as follows. The town board hereby states its concern about life and property due to the overdevelopment of Fire Island, both on the mainland and the aforesaid barrier beach. The town board is in full agreement with the United States Department of Interior's general intent for preservation of Fire
Sorry,
Island.
you're reading. Could you just slow down just a little bit, please?
Sure, sorry. The town board is in full agreement with the United States Department of the Interior's general intent for preservation of Fire Island as a unique resource for present and future generations, consistent with the general management plan for the Fire Island National Seashore. In this request for a variance, there was no reason given for a request for a larger FAR floor area ratio from 0.30 to 30.35.15%. The lot in question is a regular sized property of 60 by 100, which at 0.30 qualifies for 1,800 square feet. The proposed house with the variance is an estimated 2,100 square feet. As comparison, our house on Robbins Walk, built 1957, is also on a standard lot, and the house is 971 square feet. The proposed structure with the variance will be more than double the size of our house. The question is, why and what is the point of establishing an FAR of 0.30 if it's not adhered to? Again, as per the Town of Islip Use District Regulations, Residence BAA District in the following section, it states 68-142 living area, 68-142 Part C is as follows. The maximum gross floor area for a single family dwelling hereafter erected, inclusive of all accessory structures, unless specifically excluded in this chapter, shall not exceed an FAR of 0.30, amended 8-5, 2014.
We know that, we know the code, ma'am. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
appreciate that.
Just-
The height, another point, the height of the proposed structure will shadow our house from sunlight. The drawing shows the structure is 33.15 above grade. Our roof line is 15 feet above grade. It will be more than double the height of our house and only 24.5 feet away from the exterior wall of our house.
Just to let the record reflect that the applicant's not here for height, so they're conforming to every other setback other than FAR, which, as you may not know, there's other aspects that come into FAR, decks, stairs, stuff like that. So
yes,
just to let you know that. Go ahead, carry on.
I just want to protest that, we did not get sufficient and complete notice in a timely manner. We only became aware of this request on June 1st, and many of our neighbors within the 100 feet were not informed, and there was no signage or public notice posted anywhere. And the publication of the notice in the ISIP bulletin is dated June 3rd, which we understood we need 10 days. We could be wrong, but that's what we thought. We're also a little bit.
I can address that. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The zoning board of appeals, unlike the town board and the planning board, are not bound by the 10-day requirement that is actually in the zoning code pertaining to those two boards.
Copy.
We're bound by New York State town law, which requires that an area variance be advertised within 5 business days of the hearing in a newspaper of general circulation throughout the town.
Copy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another concern is just fire and storm. We are served by a volunteer fire department. And one question is, with the structure of this height, I know you're not talking about height, is whether they even have the ladders to reach over 33 feet.
They
And in
do.
addition-
They do.
Okay.
There's many homes. I know Fire Island well. I'm not trying to cut you off, but and
That's
again,
okay.
they're only here for FAR. We're not here to argue if the, God forbid, it should go on fire.
I'm sure you've seen the many signs everywhere that says fire is our greatest hazard on Fire Island. The fire departments are very well funded and very well supplied.
Yeah, we know many, we pay for it and we know many.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
You do.
They're our friends, so we like them. Our main thing is why can't the, based on the neighborhood and the situation, why can't the proposed house adhere to the FAR regulations? And what is the real need for the variance? We see no reason, hardship, or cause given, which would allow for more square footage than is legally permitted in the regulations. We don't understand the need for the variance, and we feel that the proposed structure is inconsistent with the character of the community and presents a precedent on the street.
We appreciate your time, but just to let you know though, ma'am, there are many precedents in the area that have higher FARs than what the applicant's asking for. Just want to let you know that. That's just for the record. So, and planning department gave us 4 that are higher than, or just as high or higher than the area that they're requesting. So we appreciate your time, and
Okay, thank you for your time.
Not a
Appreciate
problem.
it as well.
Not a problem. Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
Yes, there are others. This is Max Felder being promoted to panelist.
Good evening, this is Max Felder. I live at 45 Robbins Walk in Lonelyville.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm very well. I apologize for the background noise, but I'm actually on the Fire Island Ferry right now.
Nice.
I guess my family's main objection to the height and character of this beautiful beach bungalow town.
Well, we're not here for height, sir. We're just here for FAR. That's all they're in front of us for.
I understand that you said you had a number of precedents, but not on this particular walk.
Well, they're in 500 square feet, so they're not, they have to be close. A diameter of 500 feet, that's what we take, our board monitors on an aerial of 500. So, and planning department, Deirdre from planning has stated that earlier.
Okay, well, I just want to say it's out of character for the street that we live on, which is mainly bungalow houses.
Understood. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
Yes. This is Monique Calabro.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I appreciate your time. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great. Good evening. Just name and address for the record, please.
Monique Calabro, 51 Robbins Walk, Lonelyville, New York.
How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you. I am also concerned about the 500 square feet radius. I'm not really sure. If you could show that to us, I'd appreciate it, so we could see which houses are the ones to which you're referring.
Well, we could show you an aerial map, and you can. I don't think the applicant has. I'm not sure, Mr. Brody. Did you get a radius map?
No, I did not.
You did not. So what we do is the planning department looks on the aerial and snaps a virtual 500 radius of what precedent in the area, and they go over it with usually go over with the applicant, which Mr. Brody is well versed in this area, and obviously he went over it with Deirdre from planning because she stated that on the record.
Okay.
So there are some precedent for the FAR, and that's all that the applicant's here for, is an FAR variance on that.
All right, and I understand it's a buildable lot, but I would please ask you and the members of the board to hold the code as best you can. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Next panelist is Lisa David.
Did you call me Lisa David?
I did.
I'm sorry. I sort of blanked off for a second. It went away. I'm not going to repeat everybody. I am Lisa David. I live at 69 Raven Walk.
How are you tonight?
I am excellent. My last call of the day. of which there've been many. So I live 2 streets over. I don't know which ones on FAR in the 500-foot radius are comparable to this house. I will say that the 3 new houses that I am aware of that have been built of this scale are not in the middle of a bungalow block. They're nestled away in larger pieces of property, which is why they may have gotten away with it. But I'm going to use your own words. This is not in the character and the nature of the community that we live in.
Okay.
So that's all I have to say.
We appreciate the time. I just want to correct you. I don't think anyone gets away with building nestled in. We're just a zoning board, and whatever they put in front of us, we just have to.
I don't think they had to come before you because they had more property.
You
The
may be
larger
very
homes
correct.
have much more property.
You probably, I'm sure you're correct. I just wanted to clear the record up that we just don't let people get away with things. We just have to look at each application as it is on that. But I
Well, you
appreciate
can
your
see
time.
on the map the proximity of all these homes, and it just doesn't fit.
No, understood. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thanks.
Anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
Yes, I've just promoted Felice Perlman.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. How are you?
Oh, here I am. I'm fine, thank you.
Name and address
my-
correct, please.
My name is Felice Perlman. I am at 50 Robbins Walk, Lonelyville, New York, 11706.
And
I've been on this block for 15 years. My property, first I just want to say maybe there was a mix-up, but I didn't get any notice of this meeting either. And my property line is within probably 20 feet of the proposed structure because I go right to the Suffolk County Water Authority line.
Mary, let's clear it up. Is it just the adjoining properties that get noticed? How does that?
Joining in directly across the walk.
Well, I'm pretty much across the walk. Well, I'm across 30, anyway, be that as it may. I guess my main comment is this, from what I've read about making these variances, that the burden is on the people requesting the variance to show the necessity of it. And that it would, what does it say, cause undue hardship and an unnecessary burden not to be in strict compliance. So I haven't heard, and I think somebody mentioned this, but nobody has responded to it. What is the undue hardship or unnecessary burden that would be for the people requesting the variance in having an 1,800 square foot house rather than 2,100?
Well, that's not just the only factor that we as a zoning board have to look at. And then there's 5 factors that we have to look at. And that in one way, maybe leaning on one of the factors, but that's just not the only factor that they have. And again, they're only here for a variant in FAR. Everything else that they're asking for to the town complies. The side yards, the front yards, the height, just the FAR, which as you may have heard earlier, they do have precedent for in the area. So that's just what I'm stating to you. There's not just one factor that we have to look at. There's 5 factors.
Yes, I think I'm aware of that. And I have the 5 factors in front of me. It's whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
We know what the 5 factors
Well,
are.
I know you are, so, but nobody's given me how these 5 factors, how none of them how have they not been, they haven't been addressed as far as I can tell in this hearing so far. So that's what I'd like to hear from the builder or
Well,
from
this is, if I appreciate your time, but this is not a back and forth. I think you can state your case for public record and it can be put on the record, and then we as a board take all the information and we make a decision at that moment.
Also, ma'am, this case law provides that the factors don't have to be explicitly discussed and enumerated. You are, or the board is allowed to infer the facts from the record in front of it and apply them to the factors of 267B on its own. And it does that to benefit unsophisticated applicants.
Well, I may be unsophisticated.
No, you're not sophisticated. No, he's not stating that.
But
No,
the
I
other
was not
thing is
stating
all
that,
of the-
actually the opposite.
The other thing is just simply that the other FAR variances that were given for properties which were much, much bigger than this one in our neighborhood. So although they did exceed the 30%, they were working with a much bigger property to start with. This is a single lot.
I
Anyway,
appreciate
thank you
your
very
time.
much for your time.
Thank you
and,
so much. I
Have a good
appreciate
evening,
your time.
ma'am. And by the way, I was not calling you unsophisticated.
Oh, that's okay. I wish I were unsophisticated. I'd be a much happier person today.
You're
Okay.
not. You have a great night.
Have a good evening.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
Yes. I've just moved Joanne Udis into the panel. Hope I pronounced that right. We see you.
Okay, hi. I don't know, I don't want to be redundant, but we have not yet heard a reason why, if the zoning is 30%, why it deserves to be higher than that. What is the point of zoning?
I agree with you, but
And
zoning
no
board,
one has
the
given
zoning board,
any of us an answer.
we have given you an answer, but we don't have to give you a straight answer because we're going to still have to research the whole application, if we so choose as what we do as a board. However, the zoning board of appeals is here to, if you want to call it quote unquote, bend the code if someone asks for it, if we feel that it doesn't impact 5 characters that we have to run by. So the applicant, again, I'm going to say, is only here for an FAR, which there are other precedent in the area of higher FAR than the applicant's asking for. So we're going to take all these factors as a board. We're going to listen to all your testimony, the public, and we're going to make a decision on it. And that's what we're here for. So we're listening to everyone to have some factors put on the record, their feelings, their opinions. Mr. Brody, the applicant's design professional, stated his case, and we're going to take it as a board and make a decision on it.
All right, I also contest that 500 square feet precedent. I live here. I'm on the block behind where this house will be built. There's within 2 blocks, there's maybe one house that's a little bit high for 2 stories.
It's not height though, ma'am. That's the difference. It's floor area ratio. So
Well, then that's even makes my point more because there are no big houses here. So I would contest whatever you were told about this precedent.
all right, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Does anyone wish to be heard in this does anyone further wish to be heard in this application?
Yes, I'm promoting Stephen Valentine to panelist. I think he indicated he wanted to be heard.
Sorry about that. Everything shut down just as you turned me on.
Not a problem. Name and address for the record, please.
68 Island Walk.
Your name, please, sir.
Stephen Valentine. I'm adjacent to the questioned property.
Great. State your case, sir.
So I'm not going to reiterate what everybody else said. My key thing is the point of. Can you hear me? I just lost you.
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, my screen went black. So how does a precedent actually create itself? If somebody does not object and you agree that that can be then increase the overall square footage footprint, is that how these precedents start? I mean, then what's the point of the 30%?
Well, we are here as a zoning board to look at each application and look at the neighborhood and the character and the area and make a decision on it. So there's what we're stating is there are other permitted FARs higher than the 30% within 500-foot radius of the property in question. That's all we're saying. We're not
500-foot radius.
Yes. So that's all we're stating. And the only thing they're here for, they're not here for height. They're not here for side yard, front yard, backyard. They're here for FAR, floor area ratio. That's all I stated. And we're here to listen to you.
So the argument going from 30 to 35%, which would be an undue hardship for the reason for some to increase it. It's just one of the factors. You're saying a president can overrule that there is no argument for a hardship to be able to build with 35%.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if there's precedent in the area, that's one of the factors that we have to look at also. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying a precedent can overrule anything.
Could you please educate me what the other factors will be besides that one?
That we have to look at it as a board, sir. We're not, this is not, I appreciate your time, but we have other people to be heard also. We're going to look at, we want to hear your opinion on it, and we're going to take all that into consideration.
Well, it is definitely in the spirit of what zoning was created. It was always designed to protect a large structure against a small structure and the character of the neighborhood. That was the whole premise of doing zoning.
Okay.
And in this case, it is really out of character.
Okay. Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
I just can't remember, and everybody can refresh my memory. Did I let Monique Calabro into the panel to speak?
I believe you did.
Okay.
The name
And
sounds
I
familiar.
believe anybody else who's here has indicated they did not want to speak. They just wanted to listen.
All right. So no one further wanting to speak. Does the board have any?
The only other person, Charlie, was your client, or Muriel Gonzalez had indicated earlier today that she wanted to speak. But I don't think that she's present any longer.
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you.
So no one else would like to be heard, Mary?
I don't believe so, not at this time, unless you have something, Charlie.
No, I don't.
Does the board have any further questions? I'll make a motion to reserve.
Hold on one second. I'm not sure what Monique Calabro is telling us. 340 is the image on the screen. Hold on one second. Okay, you can speak now, Monique. We can
Please.
hear you. Oh, okay, sound is cutting out, but we see an aerial photograph of Lonelyville.
I think what she's saying is at the bottom of it, it indicates it's 340-21. But what that actually is, I think, is the top of the next application.
The next application.
Yeah.
Correct.
It kind of got
It's just-
scanned in with it.
Okay, then I think we're set.
With no one else wanting to be heard, does the board have any further questions? I would make a motion that we reserve a decision, I'm sorry, and be able to go over all the information and make a decision at that point.
And properly consider all of the factors.
Okay. Mr. Brody, as you know, we have 62 days by law, so we will do it as fast as we can and be back to you.
Okay, very well.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application reserved. Have a great night.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Application 340-21, West Adams Equity Inc., permission to leave detached garage 23.6 feet by 31.1 feet, having rear yard of 6.3 feet and side yard of 5.6 feet, instead of required 10 feet each, and gross floor area exceeding ground floor area of dwelling, and to leave driveway having front yard occupancy of 55% instead of permitted 35%, residence A district, southeast corner of Washington Avenue and Marion Road, Brentwood, New York. Is there anyone here for the application?
The applicant is here. I believe this is the applicant. I'm asking him to start his video.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Tom Locascio, 112 Oakfield Avenue in Dix Hills, New York.
How are you tonight?
Good. How about yourself?
You're here representing West Adams Equity?
Yes, I am.
All right. So you have a detached garage that's a little too close,
Yes, I do.
rear and front, and also it exceeds the ground floor area of the dwelling.
That's correct.
Deirdre from planning, any precedent?
No precedent.
Is there any precedent for the rear and side yards?
No precedent.
Is there any objection for rear and side yards if said dwelling was not exceeding the ground floor area of the dwelling?
I just think that it can't really be counted as an accessory structure when it's exceeding the floor area of the main structure.
Agree with you. I'm sorry, I didn't write your name down. Mr. Lucasio, right?
Yes. Yeah, Tom Locascio.
So you heard with what Deirdre from planning stated, it states in the code, it cannot exceed the floor area ratio, the ground floor area of the dwelling, and it does.
Right.
So if
Yep.
if it was made smaller, you'd probably comply more with the rear and side yard setbacks.
Yeah, in the future, I'm hoping to, increase the size of the home.
Well, that's fine, but right now it's not there.
Okay.
All right, and we also have a driveway that front yard occupancy, we normally see up to 40%, it's at 55%, so it'd have to come down to 40%. That's what we normally give as a board.
Yeah, I can definitely take care of that.
Okay, did you build this garage or did you purchase the property like this?
No, we built the garage.
You did.
Yep.
Did you build
We
it
blew
with
it.
that? I'm assuming you built it without a permit, correct?
Yeah. That's correct. That's what we're trying to do now, is get a permit.
All right.
So part of the reason that large accessory structures are restricted in their size so that they remain accessory is so that they are incidental and accessory to the principal use. You don't live at the subject parcel, correct?
That's correct.
So your tenants are going to use the garage?
No, I built it to put cars in there.
It's too large, sir. I apologize for that, but we have nothing to hang our hat on for you to come to us and say, we can leave this size garage because other people in the nature and character neighborhood. We have none of that. The factors that we have to, comply with, you're giving us nothing. So there's not much we could do for the size of it. The ground floor area, the ground floor area of the dwelling is smaller than the detached structure, so that's against the code.
Okay, so I guess what you're saying is if I did increase the size of the property, and we can come back to this?
Would you like to take an adjournment and speak to planning and see where you can go with this? That would be fine. We can give you an adjournment.
Can we see the photo? Deirdre, do you have the photos? We still have the issue of side yard and rear yard.
Yep. But that's why I think that if Mr. Lucasio takes an adjournment, are you storing cars in there or are you storing work trucks in there?
No, I don't have any cars in there right now, but that was my intent.
So would you like an adjournment so you can speak with planning and see what any options you may have if you are looking to expand? Maybe you can come back with a different application.
I guess so, yeah.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Make a motion to adjourn this application. Mary, do you have a date?
Probably an open date would
Open adjournment? You want an open date, sir? Or you want a specific date?
I don't understand an open date. What does that mean?
Well, we can give you a date, the next available date to come back, or you can just call the zoning department when you're ready after you start planning, and then you can make a date.
Yeah, I'll call and get another date.
Okay, great. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application adjourned. Have a great night.
All right, thank you.
Application 018-21 adjourned from January 12, 2021. Denny's and Diana Horn. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to ISO Town Code, Section 68-602, and to leave driveway having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 foot, Residence B District, southwest corner of Locust Avenue and Roseville Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
The applicant and their representative are here.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Abraham.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine yourself. I reside at 254-10 Francis Lewis Boulevard, Rosedale, New York.
How are you tonight?
I'm fine yourself. We decided to come back and revise the site plan and try to accommodate a last remark with the board. And so far, the only thing we have on the recall here is the driveway. So we have two driveways, and the one towards the left side is too close to property line. That requires 4 feet, but it has already had 1 feet.
Yeah, we see them a lot. Deirdre from planning, any objections to the 1 foot instead of 4?
No objections.
All right, so does everything else comply, Mary?
Yeah, the other things that have changed since the application was first heard on January 12th, and Salim, stop me if I'm wrong, the pool deck is being removed from consideration,
Correct, yes.
and the accessory structure that was in line with the front of the house is now being moved to a conforming location.
Correct. And also the fence also.
Oh, right, and the fence is being pulled
Yes.
back. to 10
Everything I read, I did in red for you guys to see exactly what we're doing.
Right, so the applicant has made substantial modifications since the first time the application was presented in January.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application for a period of 3 years on the accessory apartment.
Second. Chris, we got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted for 3 years, see in 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Be safe, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
I make a motion to end the public hearing.
The public portion, but we need to stay on for public session just to read into, we have 5 accessory apartments to renew.
Do we have to
I
make
would
a motion?
move to
Thank you.
grant them all as a group.
Yes.
Second, Chris,
Second.
all in favor?
And then we have 2 reserved decisions to read into the record in accordance with their draft decisions. They are, the first one is in Ronkonkoma and the second is in East Islip. So they are application number 150-21, Joseph and Jennifer Napolitano. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated June 8, 2021, the application is denied on motion of.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application number 165-21, Edward Stephen and Erica Sue Coleman. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated June 8, 2021, the application is denied on motion of.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're done. Oh, actually, one last thing. Sorry. We had discussed an application that we denied about a little over a month ago. I think it was recorded in the office of the town clerk on April 19.
You want to go off the live or no?
No, I think we're good on this to just put it in the record, but the applicant has requested that the board consider the application again. And after some research at the building department, there's reason to believe that there's possibly an inconsistency in the way the permit was issued that caused the error in construction. So we would like the board's permission to reschedule the application for another hearing.
If there's a possible inconsistency, I think that we should rehear it.
Okay, so that is.
The board agree with it? The board members agree with me or no?
For a new hearing?
Yeah, there's inconsistencies. They're possible inconsistencies from the.
Yes, there should be a new hearing for that, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's not the blue file I had in front of me, so I know which file it is, and we will schedule that one for another hearing. And then one last item that I'm sorry to spring this one on you. Do you remember the case a few weeks ago where we had an 8-foot fence atop a deck that was set in from the side property line, and you offered to the applicant to lower it to 6 and remove the request from consideration? The architect said that he would discuss it with his client. So the architect was Edward Koenig and the clients were Deborah McSweeney and Brian Smith. So they have in fact sent a letter now stating that they will remove the 8-foot fence from consideration.
Perfect.
And that And then after that, I believe everything else was, besides that, there was also a shed that straddled the property line that the board explained that we couldn't grant a negative variance. So, so that part you wouldn't consider either. But other than that, it was just a deck having a side yard of 1.7 instead of the required 6 feet, and a roofed over deck having a side yard of 2.4 instead of 4. Would you be okay with granting the remainder of the application if the 8-foot fence was removed and the shed straddling the property line?
Was that our only problem with it?
The problem was primarily was the 8-foot fence, which it was, if you remember, it was screening like an outdoor kitchen area.
It was a nice yard. They just put this.
So, I mean, if the 8-foot fence is our only problem, then I'm good with the rest of it.
Yeah, that and the shed, that was, it was really the neighbor's shed, I believe, and it was straddling the property line. So there's no way the board can condone it in that location.
Perfect.
Okay?
Good.
So that's in Bayport.
Oh, forget it then, if it's in Bayport.
We just need a motion and a second, and then we can release that. We can write a decision on it.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, second.
Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to make a motion? Dan, make a motion.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Chris, second.
Second.
As
Okay.
amended, right? As amended to remove the portions that the applicant has requested be moved.
As amended.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All done.
You guys are wonderful. Thank you so
It's
much.
only, oh, it's.
I'm gonna end the live
7:28.
stream now. I
That's
didn't
not a
hear,
record.
I'm sorry, Tom.
I didn't hear a motion to adjourn, but I was gonna end the live stream.
Make a
now.
motion to adjourn the hearing.
Second.
And the
Usually
live
wait for
stream.
Vinny to tell me, so.
Well, I'm talking in Vinny-esque.
All right.
It's Vinny, it's Mini Vinny.
Vinny.